Hello everyone, welcome back to the videos on goods and services tax. In the previous video, we discussed about the concept of place of supply of goods. Today, we will be discussing a brief portion about the place of supply of services. So while talking about place of supply of services, we should keep in mind two important concepts. That is the location of the supplier of services and the location of the recipient of the services. So, the place of supply of services can be explained in two contexts, where the first context contains the location of supplier and recipient in India, and the second context where the location of supplier or the recipient is outside India. Okay, so in one case, the location of supplier and recipient is in India, and in the second context, the location of supplier and recipient is outside India. So today we will discuss very briefly on the first context where the location of supplier and recipient is in India. So under this context or under this situation, we will be focusing our discussion on two main aspects. The first one is when the supply of services are made to a registered person. So when the supply of services are made to a registered person, what will be the place of supply of service? Let's see. The place of supply will be the location of such person or the location of the recipient. Okay. So let's see an example. Registered office of the recipient is in Mumbai. The recipient received consultancy in tax audit matter from the CA Company of Delhi in his Delhi office. So here the supply of services are made to a registered person who is in Mumbai. So the recipient is in Mumbai and the recipient received the consultancy services from the CA Company of Delhi, which is situated in Delhi office. So what will be the place of supply here? It will be the location of the recipient. So that is place of supply will be in Mumbai. Okay. Then let's see the second situation. So the second situation deals with the nature where the supply of services are made to an unregistered person. So the first situation was regarding registered person, and the second situation we have in case of an unregistered person. So the place of supply will be the location of the recipient where the address on record exists. That means the location of the recipient which can be found from the records or address. Okay. And the location of the supplier of service in other cases. That means if the location of the recipient is not present or we cannot find the location of the recipient in the record books, in that case the location of the supplier will be the place of supply. Okay. So we had two situations. First one is regarding supply made to a registered person and the second one is regarding supply made to an unregistered person. So in case of unregistered person, the place of supply can be determined in any of the two ways. The first way is the location of the recipient where the address on record exists, and if such an address is not present on a particular record, then the location of the supplier of service will be the place of supply. So let's see an example. Same example as before. The registered office of the recipient is in Mumbai. The recipient received consultancy in tax audit matter from the CA Company of Delhi in the office of the recipient in Mumbai. So in this case, what will be the place of supply? The place of supply will be Mumbai, or the location of the recipient where the address on record exists. So the address is in Mumbai. So that will be the place of supply. Okay. Now we will discuss about some special categories where there exists a place of supply for services provided at immovable properties under GST. Okay. So in case of services supplied in relation to an immovable property, some specific rules have been laid down for determining the place of supply. So these rules are different from the general rules of determining the place of supply of services. So place of supply of services provided in relation to an immovable property will be the location at which the immovable property is located. Okay, so that means the place of supply of service provided in relation to an immovable property. There is an immovable property and there is some supply of service related to that immovable property. So in that case, the place of supply will be the location of the immovable property. Okay. So under this particular head, we have three main scenarios. The first scenario is regarding the services provided directly in relation to an immovable property. That means it may include services provided by the architects, interior decorators, surveyors, engineers or estate agents, etc. So in this particular case, the location of the immovable property will be the place of supply of service. Okay. Then second scenario is regarding the lodging in an immovable property. So this may include the accommodation provided by a hotel, inn, guest house, homestay, club, campsite, houseboat, etc. So in this case, regarding lodging in an immovable property, the location of the hotel or location of the guest house will be the place of supply of service. And the third scenario is regarding accommodation in an immovable property for organizing a function like marriages or a reception or organizing any official, social, cultural, religious or business function. So in that particular case, the the location of the immovable property will be the place of supply of service. Okay. So here we discussed about the place of supply for service in case of immovable properties. So there exist three main scenarios and examples of these three main scenarios are explained here. So first scenario was regarding services provided directly in relation to an immovable property. That is in the case of architect, interior decorators, etc. Second is regarding lodging in an immovable property. Then, and third one is regarding accommodation in an immovable property for organizing a function. In all these cases, the place of supply of service will be the location of the immovable property. So now let's see an example. The first example is the immovable property is located in Noida. The nature of supply, whether it is interstate supply or intrastate supply, depends upon the location of the supplier. So if the location of the supplier is in the same state of Noida, then nature of supply shall be intrastate. Or if location of the supplier is in another state, then the nature will be interstate. So in case of interstate supply, IGST is levied, and in the case of intrastate supply, CGST and SGST is levied. So in this example, relating to our particular provision which we discussed now, the immovable property is located in Noida. So the place of supply of service will be Noida. Okay. Then second example. A businessman registered in Delhi visits Bangalore to attend the summit in regard of his business. He stays in a hotel. That is with regard to lodging in an accommodation. So in that case, what will be the place of supply of service? It will be the location. That means location of the hotel. That means in Bangalore. Okay. Then third one is regarding an advertisement company of Delhi contracts with a beauty salon firm of Delhi for dressing and beauty work upon their models in Mumbai. So in this case, what will be the place of supply? The place of supply will be Mumbai, where the dressing and beauty work is happening. So today we had a very brief discussion about place of supply of services, about which we discussed there are two main contexts, in India and outside India. So we were talking about in India situation till now, and from that we discussed about two main concept where there are two main nature, where the supply is happening to a registered person and the supply is happening to an unregistered person. And we also discussed the provisions regarding or the treatment regarding placement of place of supply of service in the case of immovable properties. So keep in mind all these provisions to work out practical problems ahead. So tomorrow we will discuss the remaining part of place of supply of service and also place of supply of service outside India. So have a nice day. Thank you.